Hey everyone, thank you for joining us at Popcorn Frights Film Festival's world premiere of Night at the Eagle Inn. We are joined tonight by writer-director Erik Bloomquist, co-writer Carson Bloomquist, and we have the cast here. We got Taylor Turner, who plays Spencer Moss, Beau Minniear, did I pronounce that right, Minniear? Who plays Dean. Sadly, we're not joined tonight by Amelia Dudley, who plays Sarah Moss, but we do have Greg Schweers, who plays the night manager, the hotel night manager. Hey, Greg.
Hi, how are you?
All right, so last year, when we were in the thick of the pandemic, Popcorn Frights hosted a summer series at the drive-in. And one of the really cool things we got to do was host the world premiere of 10 Minutes to Midnight, which was just not only a miracle that we got to pull off the drive-in series while all that was going on, but that we got to like world premiere one of these films, and that Caroline Williams got to do these really awesome phone calls. She talked to people. She called audience members. Actually, the audience members in the cars called her, and it was just like an amazing experience. Here
I
we
called
are.
her.
Yes,
you did. I called her. I was like, "Hey, girl, it's Taylor. What's up?" We had a blast.
She was incredible. But here we are, almost exactly 1 year later, and we're premiering your next film, Night at the Eagle Inn. I mean, we went from premiering through drive-in. Now we're here at the festival, and it was just at the drive-in. It was a very outside the box way to premiere. Now we're doing your second film here virtually, but this time around we get to do a Q&A, which is something we didn't get to do last time, and this is one of the things I'm like really excited about. My first question is for Erik. The pandemic, hit so many different industries hard, and the movie business was no exception. Still, you and Carson have kept incredibly busy. Not only did you release 10 Minutes to Midnight, you also put out that romantic drama, Weekenders, filmed and edited Night at the Eagle Inn, while also going into production on another horror film that will hopefully come out next year. You also distributed some of these films, some of these projects yourself, getting Weekenders into theaters across the country when the multiplexes were slowly beginning to reopen. I mean, the schedule and determination is on another level of impressiveness. Can you tell us what it was like to take on these projects that you both wrote at the time, when filmmaking needed to be extra cautious? Keep in mind, I haven't even mentioned the films that you co-produced and acted in that you didn't write or direct. So you guys have just been incredibly busy, and I just want to know what that's been like.
Thank you. It's been great. I think the first 6 months of COVID, a lot of people that I knew in the arts had some kind of like mild identity crisis, where people were like, what am I without a platform or without output or something like that. And so we just got to thinking, what can we do with the resources we have around autumn of last year, and how can we do it, safely, but keep the spirit of what we do alive and get back to real basics, but without kind of sacrificing quality from the rest of our filmographies. So that prompted Weekenders, which we shot in September in Vermont, with the help of a friend of Mainframe and us, and that went really well. And there happened to be a recently defunct large inn at the bottom of the hill that we were all staying at and shooting on, and we said, let's make a movie there because this one went so well. So 2 months later we came back. Carson and I wrote it rather quickly with some of our friends in mind, Taylor and Beau and Amelia and Greg, and sort of wrote something around sensibilities, but also something that we haven't seen them do before, because that's a big thing that's important to us, is people getting to showcase themselves and stretch themselves in new ways. So that was a big part of that. And we shot it in November, and it was really cold and really fun, and that just evolved to where we are now. And I think it was just a gift to be able to do that. And I don't think we would have had the idea or the circumstances that allowed this to happen if it hadn't been for COVID. So it started as a real barrier. Sort of the silver lining is that we were able to weirdly have the biggest output that we've ever had.
Well, with it being that cold out there, you could have easily shot a Christmas movie. Oh, wait a minute, you did. So
you fooled me for a second. I was like, wait a second, and then
he knows.
He knows all about it.
One day there'll be a Christmas horror movie, Mark, but we'll have to be like a special.
But that leads into the next question: is Taylor? I know that you worked on this upcoming Christmas movie as well. How did you get involved with this film, and how did the rest of the cast get involved? Erik said that he worked with you. He was working with you on other projects, and you came together for the film. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, so I've known Erik since 2015. I did his television series, The Cobblestone Corridor, which was just like an incredible experience. And he directed a short film that I wrote and produced a couple years ago that Beau Minniear acted in and did so wonderfully. And I was actually, we didn't know about the Weekenders when it was filming. I got a text from another friend of ours that was on set, and I was like, wait, why are you guys all hanging out without me? Got major FOMO, and Erik was like, don't worry, we'll do another one. And so he reached out to Amelia and I, who had both been on the Cobblestone Corridor together, had also played twins on that television show. And Erik hit us up and was like, hey, do you guys want to play creepy twins investigating a mystery again? But it's actually scary this time. And we were like, absolutely. Just because we had a great rapport on set doing that project. And it was so fun to get to come back and get to play off of her again. I wish that she was here. I miss her dearly, but she's on a plane right now.
And then Taylor said, what if I went blonde? And I said, I think that's a great idea. I've been looking for an excuse. And I said, Amelia, why don't you go black hair? And she said, that's a great idea.
Yeah, she's a blonde naturally, and gay people famously bleach their hair in crisis. And it was November 2020 when we were all in crisis collectively. And I was like, wow, if I'm gonna bleach my hair, I might as well pretend I can I did it for a role, And so I called Erik at 11:30 p.m. one night. I was not sober fully, and was like, hey, I've been looking for an excuse to bleach my hair. Can I bleach my hair for this? And he was like, yeah, sure. And then it ended up the look worked really well, and Amelia's does too.
And it so informs the characters. Having played twins before, there's in Cobblestone Corridor, there's kind of creepy twins, and but it's such a different kind of creepy twin in this movie. And
I look more like this. We're in our prep school uniforms, and so we're all strung out and
It's like the inverse of it, and it was just so cool to see how that look change really informed what they were doing.
Well, Taylor and Amelia, you had great chemistry on screen as siblings. Is it like that off screen as well? Do you have that sibling relationship?
Yeah, we met up the first time we met before Cobblestone Corridor. We were like, we should probably get coffee and figure out how easily we can be in sync. And it turned out we go in sync together very well. We have very similar sensibilities as actors. We both actually went to school together. She was a year ahead of me at NYU. So we both kind of came from very technique-based backgrounds, which really helped the acting side of it. And also our vibes just click well. We have similar music tastes, and having known her for many, many years by the time we shot this, it was so easy for us to
they've gone to bars and try to convince people successfully.
Yeah, we've convinced people at bars that we were twins, and people fall for it. We're good at it.
In the audition, it was the eyes, because the height difference and the hair, but there was just something about the eyes and a little bit the angular features where I was like, that's it. And their sensibilities, it's great.
So Beau and Greg, how did you both get involved with the film?
Well, I'm older. I guess I'll talk first.
Age before beauty.
So I worked with Erik a couple of years ago in an original play, and it just so happened I played two characters, but it just so happened that one of the characters was really weird and abusive and kind of crazy. So I think that gave Erik the impetus for this character, who takes where that character left off and went absolutely insane. This guy was a lot of fun. Just unhinged, I think, is the word to describe this guy. And we were kind of joking around. We all kind of thought it's the Pepperidge Farm guy who goes crazy. because we wanted a kind of a country Vermont flavor to this character, since the other characters are not based in New England. I remember talking to Erik about this. I said, the guy should kind of have the look and feel of somebody who kind of is local to there. So we kind of did, and we even incorporated that in the wardrobe. I had this weird looking Daniel Boone type of hat, and it kind of worked, and it was just a lot of fun. And working
That's what
with
I
Erik,
hope the critics say, Greg. It kind of works.
Yeah, we hope it really works. It was great working with Erik because he's such the actor's director. He lets you go do things. I remember working on a climax scene by the fireplace, and I won't get into the details there.
They've seen it. They've seen it by the time, if they're watching this, they've seen it.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But anyway, so we did several takes. They were fine. And then Erik came up to me at one point and he whispers, he says, just think fire breathing dragon. And I thought, ooh, I think that's a license to just go nuts. Yep. And we did. And that was a lot of fun. I remember the reaction from everybody, and I felt it, and I think Beau felt it, and everybody just did. And it was just such a different energy and such a different insane quality, as if it wasn't crazy enough. And I felt that was really cool. So that was a lot of fun.
And Beau?
Let's see. I think it was a couple years ago, going through a bad breakup, stumbling on Christian Mingle, and then I came across Taylor's profile, and naturally we hit it off and went on a couple dates, and then he stood me up, and I didn't hear from him for a couple months, and then he said, well, I have a movie, why don't you come do this? So we rekindled our fling, put the past behind us. No.
We did rekindle our flame on the shoot, Beau and I slept in front of the fire. Every night. It was very.
I thought you were going to turn that into a throuple story. But,
well, I was waiting for somebody to
go in there.
With Greg Schweers. Greg Schweers is there.
Nobody was stopping me.
Go in there.
Just so you know, now I know how to sell your movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I had done Taylor's film that he wrote, I think 2 years ago or something like that. And then, yeah, there it is right there. It's Medium. And Erik texted me and said, I have this really fun script and you want to fly out and do this part, and just kind of happened. It worked out time-wise for sure.
One thing that Greg mentioned is that Erik is an actor's director, and I think a lot of that comes because Erik is an actor as well. A lot of times you'll see actors who have transitioned to directing know how to deal with the cast, know how to talk to the cast. What have you learned from Erik? What have you learned from being an actor that you brought into direction?
I think it's important that everybody just has a sense of play in the whole thing, and that there's room to try things, and it's a safe place to do things wrong, and just in the name of kind of finding what's right. So there's always, like, we have very ambitious schedules when we do movies, so it's keeping an eye on finishing the day, but also giving people space to breathe. And I think a lot of that comes from fostering a trust from the beginning, and just making it clear that there is room for play and improvisation and involving actors in the process. Like with everybody molding their characters, like there were elements, I think, of everybody, the three of you guys talked to me about like costume pieces that just like you felt really good about or felt really good for your characters. It's like, great, that's what we're gonna do. And then Carson and I in the drafting of it too, and the writing of it, we're both very active behind the camera, making tweaks as we go as well. I think just if something is, and Carson, you can probably speak to this too, like if something is sticky in someone's mouth, or if a scene isn't going exactly right, like we'll rewrite on the fly to suit what the needs are.
Right. And four eyes are better than two a lot of the time, I think, when we're looking at this stuff. It was interesting. There were a few things that changed on the fly, even the ending too. We were talking about.
Yeah, that was your idea, Carson.
Yeah. I forget how far in it was. I think it was maybe like a little more than halfway through. What was the actual change we did? It was about sort of.
Originally they both ended at the thing, and you're like, Erik, we need to kill Spencer.
One of us needed to die.
It was potentially going to be the two twins having to start the cycle again, but we thought it was an interesting sort of choice to have one have to sort of almost sacrifice themselves for the fulfillment of the ledger, and then the other person continues, and there's sort of an interesting drama there. But we talked to Taylor about that. And Beau, I think we were by the fireplace you were both sleeping by when we were filming it, and we had that conversation. And
Taylor, what if
it made sense to all of us.
you? And he was like, I love it.
What?
Let's do it.
Yeah, and
I was like, yeah, kill me, go for it. We love what actor doesn't love to die? Like it's so dramatic and it's like a horror movie. We're already like screaming and snot everywhere, and you know, that's why you do horror. Because you get to just go like absolutely like batshit bonkers. Well, like Amelia's, well, I think it's funny because Amelia's is like so, it's like so creepy and it's all these like really cool, like well-lit shots and it's like these really disturbing images on the TV and like the stills look so good. And then mine is literally just me being like, ah! And like running around the hotel screaming like a ninny. But it was really fun to get to like play up that contrast. And Erik is really good at leaning into the, like it's like those sensibilities, like what each of us can bring in a particular scene.
So my question here for Carson is, what is it like working with your brother? When it comes to co-writing, are you both usually on the same wavelength? Do you disagree often on the direction the story is going? I always find sibling dynamics interesting, especially when it comes to creating something, when it comes to creating art. So I'm curious.
Yeah, it's a great question. Erik, you can leave the Zoom now if you want. We are fortunate that often we have a hive mind about these things. We know a lot of siblings somehow, surprisingly to us, don't have that same sort of like ability to get along and think through things. But we really have similar sensibilities about things. And with this, we kind of saw the movie in 3 distinct chapters. It sort of like begins innkeepers, middle's kind of like it follows, and end is like vacancy. And we have a love for those different styles of horror that sort of like resonated with us in the approach to this. And I think every now and then we'll have a disagreement, but it won't be on hugely fundamental things. It'll just be sort of like, what kind of like little approach do we want to do on this scene or that scene? But we have full faith in each other to sort of like, if someone has more conviction in something, lean into that versus the other. And that's huge. That you don't get that everywhere, and we're grateful to be able to do that together.
So since you both co-wrote the film, when this question goes out to both of you, Night at the Eagle Inn feels like a very personal story. Behind the horror, it's a film, having to do with family, and then again, the main characters are siblings, and they are in search for answers about their past. Does part of that come from personal experiences? Like part of the story?
Probably in ways we don't even know.
Yeah, no, it's not in a like literal way, anything that sort of has to do with our history or anything like that. I think we've just been intrigued sort of about legacy in the past and discovering things. And from a young age we were too. So the idea that like something that's followed you since you were born being something that has been a prevailing mystery in your life has always been something that interests me.
I will say there's parts of our extended family that we really are kind of in the dark about, I think, too.
And yeah, maybe it's just some
without going into total specifics, just the intrigue of exploring that or the weight of that, which is something that weaves its way, I guess, through a lot of stuff that we do. It's sort of been She Came from the Woods, which we just did, this weight of legacy and family and what is known and what is not known are kind of palpable themes that manifest themselves in different ways. And the whole dark parental past thing is, sometimes done in the wrong way. And so I think we even had a conversation early on where we're like, do we want to do the dead dad thing? Do we want to blah, 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 blah? But I don't think we did like the dead dad thing. I think we did it on our terms. And tropes are tropes for a reason. I'm not anti-trope whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like, I think that people resonate with certain things. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to pimp it out right.
And for the viewers who haven't figured it out yet, Erik also plays the father in the film.
Dad.
Daddy.
Yeah.
They didn't see those videos, by the way, until the day. We played them for the first time on site while they were doing their.
Oh yeah, we asked to like not watch it until the scene where we have to like see it happen.
All right.
So a lot of that was just me and Amelia being like freaked the fuck out by like Erik being all like, "I'm gonna kill you, bitch." It's like,
So tell us a little bit about filming in the location that you filled in, with it being so cold, but also about some of the steps you took dealing with the COVID situation, filming during that.
I'll talk COVID later, but I think Taylor and Beau would love to have the cathartic experience of talking about how cold that bar scene was. So boys, please take it away.
I was admittedly a dumbass and left my parka at home. We were like halfway to Vermont, and I was like, I literally have a cold weather parka that's like oversized, that's meant for this, and I just like didn't think to bring it. But we had a scene in the restaurant. It was like 40 degrees. We turned on the sauna by the pool, like to go run in between
That was
shots.
the best find of the movie, was the sauna in the pool. That still works.
But like poor Bobo is,
the thermostats
there.
didn't work. The thermostats didn't work in this
His
section.
dickies in his short sleeve.
Eric loves putting me in a t-shirt. So 40 degrees down there and I'm freezing and he's just looking at me like,
Oh,
You can also see
let me pull up your Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, do it.
Take it easy. We're friends here. What's going on?
Yeah, but I think Beau, being cold and miserable kind of helped with your character.
Yeah, I agree. And I wasn't miserable at all. I mean, it's kind of hard to like be on, unless you don't love it, it's kind of hard to be on set and be like, this is going to ruin the experience for me. Stuff like that is what makes it fun. Running back and forth between a sauna and then doing a scene, and like, it's an adrenaline rush.
I think we were literally saying in the moment, like, this is going to be such a great talking point in the Q&As.
Yeah, like I can't wait.
It
was fun. Also, it was like a fun scene, like the one that we were shooting, and
I was like, that's the point of the actor thing. I'm like, Taylor, Beau, you guys want one more? And they're like, no, we're good. We got it. Like, and I'm like, great, good. You feel good.
Or if it's just coming up with stuff. What's Beau's famous line? She's a squirter. Totally in the moment. Absolutely iconic.
She was.
That should be the tagline. Honestly, put it on the poster.
That'll probably get some tickets sold.
What's the review of the film? Well, she's a squirter.
That film was a squirter, Henny. You heard it here first. But honestly,
Greg Schweers has no idea what we're talking about because he wasn't there and he hasn't seen this.
It's true. I cannot identify with the freezing experience. I show up with the oversized coat, the hat, the gloves. In fact, I was a little toasty. No, I have no idea. So the squirter thing, no, I don't know. But I had my own weird moments. They stuck me under the what was that place under the basement with the stuff falling down? That was weird.
Crawl space. What a trooper.
Yeah, in the crawl space. Eric asked me, "Do you want to go in there?" I'm like, "I don't really want to go in there, but I mean, it will actually work." So that was kind of cool.
It was originally supposed to be the corner of a utility closet, and then we found that whole like underpass thing. I'm like, Greg, how do you feel about crawling? And he goes, how far do you want me to go? I'm like, all the way.
The first night, and there was just so much like such a wide area. Like we were saying that it looks a lot bigger than it felt when we were shooting it, just because like the hotel is it has so many different environments and so many cool looks. And like there was stuff that like we saw on the tour, like that first night there, which was also creepy as hell. But like there was like a whole, like a ballroom that was being built that got stopped halfway through. Just like so much cool shit that like kind of led us, like what Carson and Erik are saying about.
Yeah, it was creepy in its own right. It was creepy in its own right.
It's a great location. It's a great location for a horror film.
Well, it's a fifth character for sure.
Occasionally, one of us would be just caught on another end while everyone moved for a second, and that was really scary because it was dark, it was cold, and like it would be.
I got lost going out one night actually, so I was a little freaked out.
Sir.
It's not just dark. It
was weird.
You
guys going down the wrong hallway.
You guys went to dinner and I was in the gym. I come out of the gym. You guys were up at dinner and I'm just walking through the hotel by myself.
But it was a functional gym. The gym did work. Beau was the first to discover. Don't you worry.
Gym worked very good, but you guys were up. I remember you were eating and I'm walking through the hotel and I'm just, hello, and there's nothing.
It's just the whole place is like sleeping. And when we say dark, it's not just dark. It's like rural Vermont dark. Like turning the lights out at the end of the night, like you're screwed if your phone flashlight's not working. Like you don't know where you're going, which is fun. It was awesome. But it was like,
So again, just to come back, I was just curious about some of the steps you took for the pandemic, for just keep making sure everyone was safe and everything at the jacuzzi?
Yeah, so we
No.
at that time, Vermont was the state with like the lowest, like markedly lowest infection rate in the entire country. So the idea was we keep this thing as small as possible. And if you've watched the credits, you know how small it was.
Yeah.
And we get everybody to test right before, and then we just bubble, and we come up with everything we need. And there were probably, I mean, it was this cast. We made it feel bigger because we pre-shot some of the stuff in the TVs, so that it's a little more expansive and immersive. But it was really it was me doing double duty. It was 4 actors and a few crew members, and we were just there for.
And you were in a very isolated place, you know. You weren't worried about people coming to your location or anything like that. That you didn't
very
invite.
Small town, living in a really like spread out community, and we really only saw each other, and we came with what we needed. It was a really cool getaway. It was a really fun way to make a movie because it just feels so back to your roots, back to basics, like just doing it for the doing of it. And that's a really special thing, that you're doing it on your own terms, and that everybody's voice kind of reverberates nicely because there aren't so many other cooks in the kitchen.
And I think that goes back to the question about the output in this past year. And I think like what we discovered was we had to do it for the love of it, and everybody sort of like involved themselves because it's like what they want to be doing. They looked at it with, I think, the most the least cynical way you can look at it, just pure of this is what I want to do, and let's do something really cool together. And I think that's the best way to go about it.
Which fuels everything we do, but it just became like this, and just to know we can do it this way because the circumstances forced it. I mean, Nick Tucci, who was in 10 Minutes to Midnight, was a close friend, and he, like, his big piece of advice was just make the fucking movie, like under any circumstances, no matter what it was. Like, he's like, just make the movie, and it was like we just had to make the movie.
Those were the words of Larry Cohen. Just make the movie. Don't let anything stop you. You know, we were really thrilled to premiere your film here at Popcorn Frights, and want to thank you so much for allowing us to premiere the film. Is there anything you could tell the audience about when they can expect Night at the Eagle Inn to arrive on any platform? Does it have a set release?
It does. I don't know if it'll be announced by the time of this world premiere, but you might see it later this year.
All right, that's good enough. They can expect it hopefully later this year. Again, Erik, Carson, Taylor, Beau, Greg, thank you guys so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing your next film next year.
Awesome.
Thank
All right.
you for having us, Mark.